Welcome aboard the Just Help Out Mindset podcast, where your compassionate guide, Nicole Venegas, takes the helm. Brace yourselves for an immersive experience as we delve into the heart of crucial conversations. We're set to explore the intricacies of suicide prevention, navigate the landscape of mental health, and boldly shatter the stigma surrounding therapy. This isn't just a podcast, it's an odyssey of resilience and understanding. Join us on this transformative journey filled with stories, insights, and a collective mission to create a world that embraces the strength of empathy and helping others. Fasten your seatbelts. We're about to embark on a voyage towards a healthier, more compassionate existence.
Welcome to Season 2 of the Just Help Out Mindset podcast, where we are breaking the stigma around mental health one episode at a time. This podcast was formed from our nonprofit, the Just Help Out Foundation, based in Tampa, Florida. It was created from the devastating loss of my only sibling, Joey, who died by suicide on May 3rd of 2022. The world lost a beautiful soul that day, and he has forever left a void in our hearts. The Just Help Out Foundation works tirelessly to combat suicide and help people understand that asking for help is not a sign of weakness, but in fact, the opposite. It is a courageous and respectable act. Each guest on the show this season shares insightful experiences in their own personal lives and helps guide you in the journey we call life. Try to be in the present moment and clear your mind while we go on this adventure together. Welcome to another episode of the Just Help Out Mindset podcast. I know that I always say we have amazing guests, but today, really, truly, we have a phenomenal guest here in the studio with us. We are joined with Fred Spencer, who was born and raised in the quaint town of Pennington, Alabama. He's always embraced his country roots. Growing up, he faced challenges due to dyslexia, which led to teasing and criticism during his early years in school. However, as his basketball skills flourished, he found acceptance and respect within his community. Transitioning from high school to college, he pursued his passion for basketball at Chippewa College and later Troy University, eventually taking his talents overseas to play professionally in Vigo, Spain. Basketball not only provided him with opportunities, but also helped him overcome his dyslexia, granting the support he needed to succeed. Following Fred's basketball career, he redirected his focus to working with youth and teens, aiming to make a positive impact through various community organizations. Through these experiences, he witnessed firsthand the struggles young people face, particularly with bullying, a pervasive issue in our society. Having battled a learning disorder himself, he is deeply committed to advocating against bullying and promoting acceptance and understanding. His journey from being teased for his reading and writing difficulties to becoming a professional athlete has instilled a passion for creating a safer and more inclusive environment for future generations. He has had an amazing marriage of 25 years and 4 wonderful grown children. His journey has been shaped by both personal and professional experiences. After his basketball career, he transitioned into coaching. He started his own AAU basketball program before moving on to coach at Middle Tennessee State University. During his time as a coach, Fred developed the REACH program, which aimed to empower young athletes not only on the court, but also in life. Through this initiative, he sought to instill values of resilience, education, accountability, character, and humility in his players, preparing them for success both on and off the basketball court. Whether on the sidelines or in the community, he is committed to making a positive impact and fostering a culture of growth and excellence. Fred, my goodness, what a bio. Welcome to the studio.
We had to write Fred.
Oh, yes. To our listeners, we have a very humble Fred. He is a magnificent human being. And I am so excited that he's here today. Today, we're going to really talk about, he wrote a book about anti-bullying through sports. And this topic of bullying is extremely crucial, and it is directly correlated with mental health. So we're going to really touch on this topic today. And Fred, if you want to just talk to us a little bit about like what inspired you to write the book.
Wow. Well, as you read before, I started an AAU program called Riverview Hurricanes. And when I started the program, I wanted to be more than just about basketball. So the program that I started, all the players had to sign a contract. They had to maintain a 2.9 GPA. They had to do 25 hours of community service. Did an etiquette program where all the boys took their moms out on dates so they can learn how to start treating women once they got older. And then I piloted the REACH program where I can teach them how to use their platform and their reach in their community and their schools. So I piloted then to see whether it worked. But in the midst of that, in our area, we had a girl, 13 years old, committed suicide due to bullying. And then it kind of motivated me to do more because it was like every week you hear about someone committing suicide due to bullying, and it was getting numb to people's ears. And I got to thinking about my journey and the impact, good and bad, that was happening to me. And I'm like, okay, what can I do with my platform to make a difference? And then I thought about the power of sports. So that's when I said, okay, that's when I created the REACH concept. When you represent, you encourage, assist, consistent, and hope. Now you use those concepts in your everyday life, you'll be amazed how much of a change you can make in your community. So that would kind of motivated me to get started. But after that, when my grandson was born, I was thinking about his future and all the things that he will have to deal with and go through. So that kind of motivated me to start putting everything that I piloted back then with the AAU program into a book where I can also just put it out and just try to educate as many athletes and people as possible how to use their reach, how to use their platform to make a difference. So that what kind of got me started.
That's beautiful. And you had mentioned a 13-year-old girl dies by suicide from bullying. That makes me sick to my stomach, and this happens all the time.
Yes.
So this book that you've written about anti-bullying, I mean, it's extremely important that we have this in our culture. And you're working on another book, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but we'll also talk about your grandson because he's 6.
He's 4.
He's 4. He's 4. He looks like he's 6, yes, but he's 4. Yeah, that's right.
Don't take those from me yet. I want to keep moving.
Yes, he's a big boy. And before we went on here, we talked about, he is an African-American 4-year-old living in a society where racism is extremely high.
Yes.
It's occurring all the time. And now you have to protect him. I mean, how is it for you every single day when you drop him off at the daycare? What goes through your mind?
A lot. As I said earlier when we was talking a little bit off camera, it sounds crazy, but I leave home with a little fear every day because you just don't know. And with him, he's going to be, I always refer back to Shaquille O'Neal, for example.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever watch him play, they created a concept called Hacker Shack because he was so big.
Mm-hmm.
And not knowing they was hurting him or getting away with it. The point I'm trying to make is because my grandson is 4, and he looked like he's 6.
Mm-hmm.
If he's in a classroom with 3 and 4-year-olds, then he's already going to be looked at like, oh, he's too aggressive or too big or whatever the case may be. So that's one avenue he's going to have to deal with. Secondly, just being Black in America is a challenge. Yeah. Even for myself, who try my best to be a good citizen and giving back and help, I still deal with it almost on a daily basis. From getting stopped by a police officer and asking me, how can I afford this truck?
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, and it's scary. And I'm like, okay, because I'm, from, Alabama, and I've been around and I've been educated by my godfather and all of them how to deal with those situations. I was kind of like, I played a little sports and this and that, and it kind of just brought him down from a little bit from that aggressiveness for no reason. And to this day, I still don't know why I was stopped other than
He never even
and
said why he pulled you over.
no ticket, no citation, no nothing and everything. And it's almost like other than, being profiled, so that's just something we'll have to try to deal with. Is it right? No. But if you ask any, African American person, whatever, when they leave, they always going to have that fear, even if it's innocent. Just say we're in the supermarket. If I'm walking down the aisle and I see you follow me 2 different aisles, we already have that radar.
Yeah.
That you're profiling me and things like that. So everybody's not that way, but because of society, how things has been played out and done in the past, we always have it in the back of our mind.
Yes.
And it's scary for my grandson and trying to educate him how to deal with that. Even my daughter, his mom, she was a really good gymnast in gymnastics. She can go and do a perfect 10 on a pole vault, but because she was this strong looking African American girl, she always got scored lower than someone who fell off a beam. Yeah, we had to deal with that. So on the way home, we have to have that conversation with her.
How do you deal with that?
Well, when you do it, the biggest thing we do, we just break it down like, did you give it your all? Did you give us the best you can? Okay. Then she say yes. They're like, okay, no matter what the score is, nobody say we're proud of you. And so that's how we had to start addressing that. And then ourselves, like you asked me earlier, I don't need the pat on the backs or whatever. So then we kind of instilled that in our kids also. So you don't need the praise on it. Did you give your all? Did you put in the work? Did you do what you're supposed to? Did you do what you were asked? Yes. Okay, we can live with that. And then move forward. So that's how we had to start having those conversations with them.
Well, your kids and your grandson are extremely lucky to have such amazingly strong people in their lives to teach them that. I think about all the ones that don't have that in their life, and then they have to go through all of this. And I would consider her getting a lower score, even though she did a perfect jump. I'm not good at gymnastics terminology, but she did a perfect routine. She gets a lower score. That's bullying.
Yes.
That's a form of bullying. That's the racism. And that's how they can be interconnected. And I mentioned also before we got on here that I started my PhD. I'm in a multicultural class, and my professor was talking about how difficult it is to have her son, who was African American, during the George Floyd time. And her son turned to her and said, "Mom, could this happen to me?" And it broke her. Yes. She had to say yes. And not only is life extremely stressful and we have all these other things going on, but now you have to add this other layer of, can I even leave my house?
Yes.
And we talked about this with Maurice in episode 3, where he started to isolate. Why would he even leave? Because every time he gets in his car, he's getting pulled over, he's getting profiled, and it makes you your anxiety is up, you become depressed. All of this is just a vicious cycle.
Yeah. And that's one of the things too. We also had to educate my son we teach him, try to not put yourself in a box. Mm-hmm. For example, in the police officer, what you see on TV, you see the wife beater, the pants off down your butt, crime, this and that. So if you know that that's what they're looking at, then why would you leave the house looking like that? Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying it's right, being profiled, whatever, but I'm saying is don't put yourself in a box where you look to be stereotyped that way when you know that's not you. Like me, I'm not that way, and I still got profiled. So imagine if I was baggy pants and all that kind of stuff where it could be. So that's how we try to just educate as much as possible. And it is a constant fear. No matter what anyone say, it's just a control, and it's hard to put a finger on exactly what, because there's so many things, and I don't know why that some people target others for no reason.
Well, you have a lot of amazing quotes in your book, and one of them is, hurt people hurt people.
Yes.
And it's so true. It's so true. And with racism, I usually see that's a generational thing where their great grandpa was racist and then they passed that right on down and nobody bothered to break that. And I'm very curious because you were born in Alabama.
Yes.
I've been to Alabama and I was there maybe like 6 years ago. It was extremely racist.
Yes.
Still.
In some areas, I would say it's still. Even when I go back now, it's like going back in time in some areas.
Mm-hmm.
But I was so blessed and lucky for some of the areas that I was in that I didn't have to deal. Like I played at Chipola, which is pretty much a white area. Had no issues. You know, still to this day, some of the ones that white people were my closest friends. Troy, majority white in Troy. No issues. Even now, I'm up for the Hall of Fame to go there for basketball, stuff like that.
Hall of Fame.
But
what?
then it's some parts of Alabama that I won't even get off on that exit,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because I just know what we're going to have to deal with and everything. So it's almost like when you're going over the bridge, go to Clearwater, St. Pete, get your gas before you go over because it's so long.
Yeah.
If you're going to some part of Alabama, make sure you get your gas and everything you need here because we're not stopping in certain areas till we get where we're trying to go. So, but yeah, it is something that a lot of people in that area have to deal with on a daily basis. But for the most part, we do have some good people, and then some generations are changing.
They are. Yeah. No, I have seen some improvement. So would you say basketball really saved you from the bullying that you had felt when you were younger?
I would say yes, but I'll take it a step further. I had no mom. Excuse me. My mom died when I was 2 years old.
Oh, no.
Yeah. My dad was never in my life. So I had a 5th grade teacher who was Caucasian, told me I'd never amount to anything in the 5th grade. So I kind of had that low self-esteem dealing with dyslexia, not knowing that I had dyslexia. But I used to go over to my cousin's house and play basketball. Well, they used to play basketball. And I always used to say, I got next, and they would never pick me.
Mm.
Then one Saturday, my cousin picked me, and it kind of just changed my world.
Oh.
Because I went from this kid here who was insecure, no purpose or whatever, and it felt invisible.
Mm-hmm.
And when he picked me that day, that kind of changed my world.
Mm.
So then that before I hit my growth spurt. So then once I hit that growth spurt or whatever and came that basketball play, it really, really changed my life. You know, so then I started using my platform back then to make change. And I didn't even know it. Because I was dyslexic, I used to hang out with so-called the nerds and geeks because they used to help me do some study, habits and stuff like that. Before you know it, now you got the whole basketball team, the football team hanging out with the geeks, and I didn't even understand that back then.
So you've always been influential from naturally.
Yeah, and naturally, and didn't even know it. So because I was a track star, basketball, whatever, hanging out with them, they were helping me. Before you know it, now everybody's hanging out with them, but we didn't have all of that in my class and stuff like that, the bullying and stuff like that. All for just the power of sport bridging us together.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I played basketball.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. I
What
think
position?
we should. I was a 4'5".
Okay.
5'4".
Okay.
I want the listeners to know that Fred has shattered
Four
backboards.
Yes.
And they told him he couldn't dunk anymore in practice.
Yes. So we had a big game at Chipola. And one of my teammates, Ray Field, and I did the first one. We went to a gym, and my teammate threw me a lob or alley-oop. People don't understand that terminology. And dunked, and the whole basket came down with me. And then in Troy, we was playing in Kansas City. I mean, I think you can see this on YouTube. I stole the ball and went up and dunked and shouted the whole backboard on ESPN. And then I broke 2 over in Spain.
Wow.
Yeah.
How does it feel when you break a backboard? That's got to be some kind of power. You got to feel good.
I wouldn't say it feel good. My teammates wasn't happy about the first one because my coaches said, Troy, we got to have it after the game. We go to like the best place to eat. And this particular game, we was going on a cruise ship to have dinner and stuff. Well, because it was a 2-hour delay, we missed the cruise ship. So my teammates wasn't too happy about it. But I just saw it was just my job. I always been a power player. I was a power forward, which you mentioned your 4.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a power forward, and my mentality was if someone tried to block my dunk, I was going to break their hand. So that's where I went up with so much force.
I love it.
So that's how I got away with that.
Can you do a hook shot?
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay. Me too. All right, we're going to play.
You may get me now. My knees won't let me do it now.
I can't jump.
Yeah.
All right, so all right, I really want to go back to this book because it is amazing. I am so happy that you wrote this. And I want to know, we talked a little bit about your parenting skills are amazing. That not everyone has that. How did you have such amazing parenting strategies when you didn't have a mom or dad?
Trial and error.
Wow.
Yeah, because one, my godparents, but I still give kudos to my wife too. One who was patient with me because she also helped me along my journey to see a lot of things that I didn't have the resources to. And you know, she's come from a military family, mom and dad, and stuff like that. But it was really just trial and error. You know, just looking at, you know, did I make a lot of mistakes? Yes. You know, but in the long run, those mistakes were trying to do right,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and trying to pave the way for them not to make the same mistakes that I made, you know, and a lot of times they didn't understand that at an early age. Neither did I. My grandmother and all used to tell me, but now I think they starting to understand a lot of things that we were trying to instill on them was for them,
Yeah.
you know, so, but it was a lot of trial and error.
So what advice would you give parents who have a child who's being bullying? And I want to just read this one part. It's right out of the introduction of the book. It says bullying has detrimental effects on youth and teens. Bullied people often feel isolated and ashamed and may engage in acts of self-harm.
Yes.
I see self-harm a lot with my teenagers. What advice do you give parents who are they're seeing this, they're seeing that their kid's starting to isolate, they're starting to cut? What would you say?
First, be involved. Be involved, have those conversations. I mean, I know that sounds simple and easy, but back in our days, we could go in the room and close the door or go outside and stay hours, and mom or dad didn't have no concerns. Nowadays, with social media and everything, everybody got smartphones and everything. When your kid go and close the door for 30 minutes, you need to be concerned.
Mm-hmm.
So nowadays, just have those conversations, open dialogue and things like that, and let them know it's okay, you know, to feel hurt or go through certain things, because that's where a lot of kids, even myself, went through at some point where you don't want to disappoint the ones who love you and supported you.
Yeah.
So when something going like that, they isolate themselves because they think that they're going to embarrass you or you will feel bad like that. No, we got to get away from that. Have those conversations, that open dialogue, and then address it head on and move forward and support them along the way.
So parents create a safe space for their
Yes.
child where the child feels like they can talk to them without judgment.
Correct.
And they can come to you and feel good.
Yes.
Yes, I love that. Could you tell us a little bit about maybe some misconceptions about bullying?
Well, bullying goes most way. Mostly, it ain't just the victim we also have to be concerned about.
Wow, that's a great point.
When you look at the bully,
Mm-hmm.
you got to understand that bully also went through some type of trauma or going through some kind of mental stuff that people seems to overlook at times.
Yes.
So I don't want to, you know, downplay the victim or anything like that. But in order for us to move forward, we also got to look at why the bully is doing what he or she is doing.
That's a phenomenal
So
point.
I think that's one of the misconceptions people are overlooking in order to move forward to address any of the issues in our schools and community.
Do you think bullies are usually bullied at home, or they have something going on in their life?
Yes, there's if you look back at most of the school shootings and everything like that, I'm willing to bet you that it traced back to some kind of bullying or trauma or something that they dealt with.
Yeah.
And feeling invisible and stuff like that. That's really what I was talking about. My reach concept is, just acknowledging a person in your area where they don't feel invisible. Imagine you the star athlete and you acknowledge someone. That could make their world. Like, oh wow, Tom Brady just say hi to me.
Well, like when your cousin picked you
Yes.
for the team, you felt seen.
Yes.
And that changed everything for you.
Still
and
to this day.
To this day.
Yes.
So imagine if you're like a star or you're popular at school and you see someone getting bullied and you stick up for them, you could change someone's life.
Yeah. And even with this in the book, I know a lot of parents have concern, not want to put the bystander, which was one of your questions, anything, the bystander or the want to be in harm's way. But there's ways you can use your platform to help and support someone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, if I'm a bystander and I see you being picked on, I don't have to address the bully. I can just walk to class with you and be your support system.
Oh, that's great.
It's different things that you can do that won't put yourself in harm's way in order to offer some type of assistance to help out.
That's beautiful. So there are ways that you can help if you see someone getting bullied that won't put yourself in danger.
Correct.
Parents can provide a safe space for their kids so that they feel comfortable coming to them. I want to know your opinion on social media.
Ooh.
It's brutal.
It's very, very brutal. My opinion is, I don't know how we can police and regulate it because it's out of control, and I don't think we as a society was ready for what's here and what's to come with that. Because if you look at, I know we had a conversation earlier about people having conversations online and then somebody take it left.
Yes.
One thing I know as a person dealing with kids and people on a daily basis, you never know how someone going to interpret something. So you may say, "What's up?" to me, and I'm like, "Oh, everything good," but then someone else may think you rude or have attitude about it.
That's right.
So it's all, how people interpret things, want to trigger that. Then some just, their mission just to cause problems because they can feel like they can hide behind the computer to create drama and start things. And that's other things we as the people involved and on there got to know when to log off or not to get caught up in that, because half the time that's what they want.
I make my teenage clients, delete Instagram, but that is a big conversation that we have, or we take baby steps to maybe reduce the time you're on there, because the things you're seeing, you don't even know, but subconsciously you're comparing yourself. You see all these comments, and before you know it, you've got low self-esteem, and the cycle goes on and on and on. So we are already wrapping up the show, but I have 2 questions left. What advice do you have for individuals who are currently being bullied?
The advice I have for you is there is hope and there's help out there. We and myself and you and your platform, we just have to do a better way of putting those resources where you can reach them. I always say the police force in the schools, teachers, they have a tough job, a really tough job. And if you look at it, a lot of them have bullying programs. But because of the crime and everything the police have to deal with, they don't even have time to implement their bullying program.
Yeah.
Same way with the teacher, with the testing and everything in Florida, they don't have time. And it gets so political because it's turned to he said, she said. So knowing that, one, your parents or your coach or anybody you can trust to share whatever you're going through, first of all, that's the first step. And then secondly, don't give up, because there's hope in whatever. It's easy to say. don't give up and whatever, but you got to find someone that you have that trust in.
Yeah.
You know, if it's not your mom or dad, it's your aunt or uncle, you can have that open dialogue with, and then share those conversations, and hopefully they can give you the resources you need for as better, what they call better help, the 988 helpline, even your foundation, just for help out. Knowing that there are resources out there that, you know, they can utilize and get, and people won't judge them.
Exactly. And if you don't have someone close in your life, like a family member, there are organizations. And I want to point out that when we think of bullying, we do think of like middle school, high school, but it is very important that we know adults bully each other at work. If you're at church, the worst place to bully someone. Politics. I mean, I see adults bullying adults all the time. Yes. And it is important that you're able to recognize that you're being bullied, and how do you protect yourself?
And that was one of the parts when I was first starting this journey. I would go out and speak to our youth, and I'll ask, how many, just a simple question, how many have been bullied before? Just by everybody raised their hand. Wow. Then I said, give me an example. And some of the examples they was giving me, in my mind, wasn't bullying. So then I had to come back like I do as an athlete. Okay, I got to watch film, reassess what just happened. Then I said, okay, my approach has to be different. So now when I go, I educate people on what is bullying. So once you understand what is bullying, now when I ask that question, it's lesser hands being raised because they know what bullying is now.
Okay.
You know, because a lot of people are like, oh, such and such was staring at me once or whatever. Well, that's not bullying.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but if it's a current thing happening every day or whatever, yeah, it can be a sign of intimidation or whatever the case may be. But break it down where they can see what is bullying first before you say that, and then we can understand and know how to address those. Same way when you say, oh, I'm being bullied all the time, where it get watered down. So then the teacher or whoever is not taking you serious.
Yes.
Just like people holler racism all the time, it get watered down. So when you truly being profiled and racist, people don't take you serious.
Yeah.
And they're not taken serious. So that's when I had to take a step back and educate people on what is bullying first, and then move forward.
Would you say that bullying is when, if someone says something to you and you don't feel good about that comment, but it happens over and over again, is that how you would categorize bullying?
Yeah, it's reoccurring things for physical, social media, whatever the case may be, can be considered bullying in a way. And on top of that, to really harm a person, you know, to try to hurt a person feeling, or mentally, physically, or whatever the case may be, or to get a reaction.
Yes.
You know, stuff like that.
I see that a lot.
That's when I always tell my athletes stuff out coaching, never let anybody steal your thunder, win or loss. So then now they got to go back to the drawing board to try to see how to get to you. If they feel like they can't get to you mentally, they don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
So, you know, and then even in the book too, I don't know if you got that far in, but on page 70, I created QR codes. So no matter what state you're in, you can scan that QR code and find out what all the bullying laws and rules is in that state.
Amazing.
Yes, because everybody have smartphones nowadays. So I'm like, okay, how can I incorporate that?
That was brilliant.
Well,
that was brilliant. Page 70. When you guys get this book, page 70 is a very, very important page. Fred has made it so easy with QR codes where you can just hold your phone up to the book and it's going to show you all these resources.
Yes.
It doesn't get any better than that.
I know.
It doesn't.
For the laziest person, you have everything right there you need.
And I want to ask one more question. We gave advice for people who are being bullied, but what about advice for people who are bullies?
Ooh. One of the things that I can say for the bully, and also if you see a graph that I have in the book, and I have arrows pointing different ways on that graph, meaning your situation can change anytime. For example, you may be the bully here in Tampa, but then you move to Orlando. Now you're a victim just as fast.
That's right.
So just know what you do here can come back on you.
Oh, I
you know.
like that.
So that's when you see that in there, your situation can change at any moment. You know, you don't have to move. someone from up north can move down here just bigger and stronger and better than you. But just know that what you're doing has consequences at some point, and that person that you are trying to harm or whatever, could be your best friend and hire you one day.
Oh,
And that's what
that.
people don't realize. I go back and you mean to tell me Bill Gates wasn't bullying? Now look how many people come to him for a job.
That's right.
Stuff like that. So you got to understand things go full circle.
They do. They really do.
Yeah.
So word on the street is that you got another book coming out.
What street is that?
And it's about mental health. Oh, so we're going to have you back on once that book comes out in May. We're going to have you back on to talk about that book too.
Yes. And I plan to educate just like I did with this first book, Anti-Bullying Through Sports. And it's the effect bullying has on your mental health. And through my research with this first book, everything drew back to mental health. Like, okay, they're going through this bullying, they isolating themselves, they're going into depression and everything. They don't know what to do. Well, all of that is mental health due to bullying.
That's exactly.
So, and that's kind of the approach there with this second edition.
I love it so much. Anti-Bullying Through Sports by Fred Spencer. Fred, please tell the listeners how they can contact you, your website, how they can get this beautiful book.
Yes, they can. First, they can go to my website, which is 4jsports.com. That is the number 4, JSSPORTS.com. They can go on my website, and that's also my Facebook and Instagram, 4J Sports. And it's also on Amazon in English and Spanish. Just type in Fred Spencer, and both copies come up based on which one you want.
Did you hear that? He's got that in English and Spanish. One last final question. When we talked to Maurice in episode 3, he mentioned how other countries are less racist. When you were in Spain, what'd you notice?
Man, because I was from the South, I was so nervous. And when I got there, it was totally the opposite.
Really?
Like, here I am, like, really the only big black guy walking down the street, and I got people inviting me into their homes for dinner.
Wow.
I mean, it was the opposite. Like, right now, if I retire, I'll move back there.
Oh, you loved it.
I loved it.
You felt comfortable.
Yes.
You didn't feel nervous, like you felt safe.
I felt safe.
Wow.
Yes. I mean, no issues. The only concerns, two concerns that I had. It's the drinking, because we used to travel. I don't drink. So we used to travel, but our bus driver, he would sit at the bar and take 2 drinks.
Oh, no.
And he'll drive us, and that's normal.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, hold up. And then I would look out my flight. They call it flight. On my apartment. I see the police get off a motorcycle, go in there and take a drink, and get back on. I'm like, okay, what's wrong with that video?
No, so they're just carefree.
And it was normal.
Okay.
It was normal for them. So, those are 2 things that I had concern with, because I'm like, if I need you to save me, you're going to be a little tipsy here. And then.
Were the firefighters drinking?
No.
Oh,
I didn't see them.
You didn't see that.
To their defense, I didn't see them. But I loved the other country, and I was embraced. And to this day, some of my closest friends, we're still in contact to this day.
Wow. Fred Spencer, you are a absolutely phenomenal human being. Thank you so much for joining me today. And to our listeners, thank you so much for listening to the Just Help Out Mindset podcast, where we are breaking the stigma surrounding mental health one episode at a time. Please tune in next week for another episode.